I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Amy, your birthday is cancelled. Your sister's upset, and we can't ruin her mood. My dad's voice was calm, almost casual, but it hit me like a punch. 18 years I'd waited for this day, and now it was gone, swallowed by my sister's selfish tantrum. My name is Amy, and for as long as I can remember, I've been careful not to upset anyone, except apparently, myself. My sister, Claire, had always been the favorite. Dad hovered around her like a personal bodyguard, ignoring my accomplishments and brushing off my feelings as if they were minor inconveniences. But today, the line was crossed. The house smelled faintly of burnt toast and perfume, Claire's favorite combination, and the hallway echoed with her laughter as she spun in front of the mirror. I could feel the tension pressing down on me, thick and suffocating. Dad didn't even look at me, he just nodded toward Claire and said, "Let's keep the peace, Amy." Keep the peace? I wanted to scream, to throw something, anything, but instead I swallowed my anger and my disappointment. I remembered the nights I spent planning my birthday, the playlist I curated, the decorations, the guest list. I had dreamed of this day as a turning point, my first step into adulthood, my celebration of surviving high school, of finally being recognized. And now it was stolen from me by the two people I trusted the most. "Maybe you'll understand when you're older," Dad added, like my feelings were some teenage phase that would pass. But I wasn't a child anymore. I was 18. I deserved to be seen. To be heard. Claire, of course, barely noticed me. She was too busy practicing a fake smile, the one she used to get exactly what she wanted. And there I stood, invisible in my own home, watching my birthday vanish into someone else's selfish little drama. I stepped into my room, slamming the door so hard I felt the frame shake. My heart was racing, my mind spinning with every injustice, every memory of being second, overlooked, compared. I didn't just feel hurt, I felt awake. Something in me had shifted. As I stared at my reflection in the mirror, I realized that maybe it was time I stopped waiting for recognition from my family. Maybe it was time to watch. To learn. To plan. And most importantly, to act. Outside my bedroom door, laughter floated through the halls. Everything seemed normal to them. But I knew better. I could see the cracks forming, the hypocrisy hiding behind smiles and family traditions. And I had a front row seat. High-voltage subtle unease lingered, a quiet tension that hinted this was only the beginning. The next morning, the house felt different, smaller, somehow, like it was closing in around me. Breakfast was a silent performance. Dad poured coffee for Claire first, offering me a polite nod as if I were some invisible guest at my own home. Claire smiled that practiced smile, but her eyes darted to Dad whenever he whispered something under his breath. I noticed. It was the first tiny red flag. Dad didn't usually whisper. And when he did, it was never about me. By mid-morning, the phone calls started. Claire's phone buzzed incessantly, Dad answering one, her sneaking another. Bits of laughter, hushed voices, and words I couldn't catch floated through the hall. Something was off. I tried to ask Dad, casually, about the calls. He brushed me off with a vague, "It's just school stuff." But the way he avoided my gaze made my stomach twist. Even my friends started noticing. Texts came in, "Are you okay? What happened to your party?" I forced a smile, but every message felt like salt in a wound. I couldn't explain it, not yet, not without sounding crazy. By afternoon, another red flag appeared, subtle but unmistakable. Dad had given Claire a gift early, a new phone, the latest model, wrapped in glittery paper, with a note that said, "For my perfect girl." I stared at it, disbelief churning into anger. I didn't get a word, a card, or even a mention. It wasn't about the gift itself, it was the message. Claire was being rewarded for, what? Complaining? Sulking? Nothing at all? Money had always been a quiet tension in our house. Mom used to whisper about fairness when Dad wasn't listening, but now I realized it wasn't fairness at all, it was favoritism. And favoritism came with perks, privileges, and protection. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, measured, and quietly discarded. By evening, the emotional strain was unbearable. I tried reading, tried putting on a normal face, but every laugh from Claire, every nod from Dad toward her, felt like a betrayal carved into my chest. I was angry, yes, but also confused. Was I imagining it? Was this normal sibling rivalry, or something darker? The final red flag came when Dad called me into the study. His tone was unusually serious. He handed me a list of chores, my weekend, reorganized down to the minute, while Claire was excused from everything. Just helping the family run smoothly, he said. But the words felt hollow. The favoring, the secret calls, the gifts, it was all adding up. And for the first time, I couldn't ignore it. Something was happening behind the scenes, and I wasn't part of it. I didn't know what, or why, but I could feel the shift, the invisible line between family love and betrayal, and I was standing on the wrong side. High-voltage unease settled deeper. Trust was cracking. And Amy was finally starting to notice. That night, I couldn't sleep. The house was quiet except for Claire's soft snores drifting down the hallway, so I crept into the living room, needing to clear my head. Dad's laptop was open on the coffee table, unlocked, almost inviting me. I shouldn't have looked. I knew it. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. One file caught my eye: birthday budget, Amy 18th versus Claire. My stomach dropped. I opened it. Numbers, gift receipts, and transfers. Large sums of money earmarked for my birthday party had been quietly redirected. Claire's surprise gift wasn't a gift at all, it was my money. My carefully saved allowance and Dad's birthday fund for me had vanished into Claire's hands. I froze. Heart pounding. Rage bubbling. I had trusted them, trusted my dad to celebrate me, to finally honor my milestone. And they had stolen it. Not just the money, but my day, my memories, my recognition. All of it, gone. I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand justice, but my mind went blank. Every birthday plan, every joyful idea I'd nurtured for months, had been sabotaged. Claire had done nothing, just smiled, sulked, and let Dad do the dirty work. And Dad, he wasn't just complicit. He was the architect. Anger burned through me like wildfire. I paced the living room, trying to think. Was it my imagination? Could this really be deliberate? Every subtle favoritism, every whispered phone call, every chore list, it all made sense now. They had orchestrated it. I could feel my hands shaking, but not just from anger, something else was rising: clarity. I had been blinded by family loyalty, by the idea that love meant protection. But what I had witnessed tonight wasn't love. It was betrayal dressed up as care, hidden behind smiles and excuses. I replayed the moments in my mind: Dad canceling my party for Claire's bad mood, the early gift, the whispered calls, the extra chores. It all pointed to the same truth: I had been erased, my celebration stolen, my worth measured against Claire's whims. For a moment, despair threatened to swallow me. Could I forgive them? Could I even face them tomorrow without breaking? But somewhere deep inside, a different voice rose, a voice I hadn't listened to before. It whispered, "You don't have to take this. You don't have to let them win." I didn't have a plan yet. I didn't know how or when or if I could turn this around. But one thing was certain: my story didn't end here. The betrayal had been revealed, and now, the clock was ticking. Every laugh, every smile from Claire, every nod from Dad was a challenge, a dare. And I intended to answer. High voltage. The room felt colder, the silence heavier. Amy's heartbreak had transformed into a quiet, simmering rage, and the first sparks of revenge had ignited. The next morning, I walked through the house like a ghost. Claire laughed over breakfast, spinning her phone around like a trophy, while Dad sipped his coffee as if nothing had happened. I tried to swallow my anger, tried to keep it hidden, but it churned inside me like a storm. Then it hit me, a sharp, piercing thought that changed everything. This wasn't just about a stolen birthday. This was about respect. About recognition. About being treated like I mattered. I had spent 18 years playing the quiet, patient child, hoping one day my family would notice. But they wouldn't, at least, not on their own. If I wanted to be seen, I had to fight for it. The realization was like a switch flipping inside me. I didn't want revenge just for the money, or the party, or even the humiliation. I wanted justice, for me, for my worth, for the 18 years I had been overlooked. My hurt began to transform into something sharper, focus, determination, a quiet strength I hadn't known I possessed. I spent the day observing them, carefully, silently. Claire continued to flaunt her gifts, her special treatment, oblivious to my growing awareness. Dad still hovered over her, offering praise I had never received. But now, I saw the cracks in their armor. The favoritism was obvious, predictable even. They had patterns, weaknesses. And if I learned them, I could turn the tables. I remembered the night I had discovered the stolen birthday money. The way the numbers were hidden in plain sight, Dad had assumed I wouldn't notice, that I would accept the injustice quietly. But I did notice. I had eyes. I had brains. I had heart. And I had time. By evening, I had a plan, not a full strategy yet, just the first seeds. I would watch, gather evidence, understand their moves. I wouldn't react impulsively, wouldn't let anger cloud my judgment. Instead, I would turn it into power. Every sneer, every laugh, every whisper became fuel. As I sat in my room that night, I looked in the mirror. For the first time, I didn't see a hurt, overlooked girl. I saw someone ready to act, someone who would no longer be ignored or erased. Claire and Dad had underestimated me. They thought my silence was weakness. But silence can be dangerous, it can be patience, observation, preparation. And that's exactly what it was now. High voltage, the fire inside me had shifted from pain to purpose. Amy wasn't just a victim anymore, she was a strategist, a silent force gathering strength. And when the time came, they would see just how wrong they had been. Once I made the decision to stop being silent, everything around me sharpened. I noticed details I'd ignored before, patterns, habits, small mistakes they didn't bother hiding anymore. Dad still thought I was broken, distracted, emotional. Claire thought she had one. That belief was my greatest advantage. The first step was proof. Feelings wouldn't save me, evidence would. Late at night, when the house slept, I went back to Dad's laptop. This time, I didn't rush. I photographed everything, budget spreadsheets, bank transfers, notes labeled Claire, emergency funds that matched the exact amount meant for my birthday. I emailed copies to myself and backed them up to a cloud account Dad didn't know existed. Next came the lies. Dad told relatives my birthday was postponed. Claire told friends I'd chosen not to celebrate. I listened quietly, memorizing every contradiction. I saved messages. Screenshots. Voice notes. I let them talk. People always expose themselves when they think no one is paying attention. Then I set the trap, small, harmless on the surface. I casually mentioned to Dad that my school counselor had asked about my birthday fund, something about financial transparency for students turning 18. His face tightened for half a second. Just a flicker. But it was enough. That night, he made another call. Whispered. Panicked. I recorded it through my door. Claire, meanwhile, felt untouchable. She bragged about her new phone, her shopping trips, her bad week that somehow cost me my future memories. She didn't realize every word she said only confirmed what I already knew, she wasn't innocent. She never had been. The tension grew quietly. Dad started checking his laptop more often. Claire snapped at me for no reason. They sensed something, but couldn't see it. And I didn't rush. Revenge isn't loud at first. It's patient. I also prepared myself emotionally. I stopped hoping for apologies. Stopped expecting fairness. I reminded myself daily, they chose this. That thought steadied me. Strength replaced fear. By the end of the week, I had everything I needed, not to destroy them yet, but to corner them. The proof was solid. The lies were documented. The money trail was clear. All that remained was timing. And timing is everything. They still laughed at dinner. Still acted like they were in control. Dad even said, things are finally calm again. I almost smiled. Because calm is what comes right before the storm. High voltage, the plan was set. The trap was closing. And they had no idea their perfect little balance was about to collapse, starting with the one thing they thought they'd already taken from me, my voice. The day finally arrived. My 18th birthday. Dad and Claire assumed I'd stay silent, quietly accept the postponed celebration, and keep pretending nothing had happened. They were wrong. I dressed carefully, but not to impress them. I needed to look calm, collected, untouchable. Every detail of my plan had led to this moment. I carried my phone and laptop, filled with screenshots, recordings, and bank transfers that proved everything: the stolen birthday money, the hidden gifts, the orchestrated lies. Dinner was casual, Claire had insisted, with the family seated around the table. She flashed that smug, self-satisfied smile, convinced she had one. Dad poured drinks for her first, of course, then glanced at me with that faint, knowing nod, the one he always gave when he thought he had control. I cleared my throat. Actually, there's something I want everyone to see. They froze. Claire's smile faltered. Dad's hand tightened on his glass. I opened my laptop and projected the evidence onto the living room wall. Each spreadsheet, every transfer, every screenshot of messages, they were all there for everyone to see. Do you remember this? I asked, voice steady. My birthday fund? The money meant for my party? I pointed to the first transfer. Dad shifted uncomfortably. Or this. The gifts that were supposedly from you, Claire? Her face went pale. My parents stumbled through excuses, but I wasn't done. I played the recording of Dad on the phone, whispering about how to redirect my funds and cover for Claire. Then I read aloud messages Claire had sent to friends, laughing about taking over Amy's birthday money. The room was silent, except for my voice cutting through every lie. Claire's hands trembled. Dad's jaw tightened. They had underestimated me. Thought my silence was weakness. I leaned forward. You canceled my birthday for someone else's bad mood. You stole my money. And you lied to everyone to make it seem like I was overreacting. That's betrayal. And it stops now. By the time I finished, the humiliation was complete. Claire's smugness had vanished. Dad's authority crumbled in front of my eyes. For the first time, I was the one in control. The house that had always felt like a cage now felt like my stage. They had assumed I would fold. That I would cry in silence, that I would vanish. But I didn't. I had taken the hurt, the anger, the betrayal, and turned it into my power. High voltage for the first time, the family I had loved so deeply couldn't ignore me. The tables had turned. The stolen birthday, the favoritism, the lies, all laid bare. I closed my laptop. Calmly. Silently. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly free. The house was silent after that night. Claire didn't speak for hours, and Dad avoided my gaze entirely. The evidence had stripped away the illusion of control they thought they held. For the first time, I wasn't just Amy, the overlooked daughter, I was Amy, the one who had exposed the truth. In the days that followed, our extended family learned everything. Messages, recordings, even the spreadsheets, they all spoke louder than any argument could. The birthday money, once stolen and hidden, was returned, and the celebration I'd been denied finally happened, but on my terms this time. Invitations went out, decorations hung, and I walked into the room with a quiet confidence that no tantrum or favoritism could shake. Dad tried to apologize. Claire tried to explain. But apologies felt small against years of neglect and deceit. They had learned a hard lesson: betrayal has consequences, and power built on favoritism and lies is fragile. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Watching them realize their misdeeds for themselves was satisfaction enough. I had claimed my voice, my dignity, and my rightful recognition. I felt stronger, freer, unstoppable even. I also realized something important: betrayal hurts, yes, but it can also awaken strength you didn't know existed. I was no longer just a victim of my family's favoritism. I had turned the hurt into strategy, the heartbreak into action. That's a lesson that will stay with me forever. And viewers, if you've ever been ignored, overlooked, or betrayed by someone you trusted, take this to heart: it's not weakness to feel hurt. Weakness is letting others decide your worth. Stand tall. Observe. Plan. Take control. Your moment of justice is waiting. Claire and Dad had believed they could erase me, silence me, make me small. But what they didn't know was that every slight, every unfair word, every stolen smile had been fueling my determination. And in the end, the one they underestimated the most, the quiet, overlooked Amy, had won. High-voltage poetic justice, in its finest form, is quiet, patient, and inevitable. And as I looked around at my birthday celebration, surrounded by friends who actually saw me, I whispered to myself, those who steal your light will one day watch it shine brighter than ever, right over their heads. If you've ever faced betrayal like this, I want to hear your story. Comment below, share your experiences, and don't forget to subscribe for more true stories of justice, family drama, and unexpected triumphs.